And welcome back, students, for more information on web design. Today we're going to be exploring headings, and we have talked a little bit about headings. In fact, we've been using them. This good old H1 tag that is present right here is an example of a heading. There's other heading elements that we can use. For example, I can come here and add a H2 heading, right? And if I just say a second heading, you can see that it adds it in there. Now, we can take that all the way down technically to like H6. However, one common mistake that I see students make when they're doing web design is like they will make heading to serve for text to be things like big or text to be bold. However, there are other tools that we have to use that, which we will get to later on. However, we only want to use those heading tags for headings. Right? If you recall, I mentioned that heading is kind of like, the headline of a newspaper or the chapter title of a book. Right? It's there to get the reader's attention, but it doesn't necessarily affect the content of the page aside from that. So let's keep looking at this sample web page here. All right, and I've talked about the H1 tag, and I just showed you an H2 tag. Right? The smaller the number is, the larger the text size. All right? And it's kind of important to remember that it's kind of backwards. You normally think, okay, bigger number, bigger size. Well, here, the bigger number, the smaller the size, because you notice H1, 1 is smaller than 2, but the text is larger. Now, there is something similar to these tags, which is the head tag here, because we have heading tags and we have a head tag, and it could get a little confusing, right? But then we're not going to do too much with the head tag right now. I just want to point that out. All right, there's also a header tag later on when we get to HTML5 semantics, but it's important to keep those all straight. A head tag is this right here. All right, is what contains information regarding the structure of the web page, like CSS files and stuff like that. And here you can see like they have the meta chart set, you have the title in here. That's all inside the head, and the head is always outside the body. It's one important thing. It always starts and ends before the body tag. Easy way to remember, just like a human being, a web page can only have one head. Furthermore, just like a person, the head cannot be inside of the body, rather it sits on top of the body. That's the easy way to remember that. So let's look at this code here. All right, and let me explain a little bit more about the head tag here. One thing to talk about, of course, is this title tag. All right, now a title tag is used to make the title of the web page, which is going to appear on the tab of your web browser. When we use title, it's always going to be inside the head tag. You don't want to put it in the body, right? Because it's not going to affect the body of the content. Remember, the body is what you see right here. All right. The head is like the tab and stuff that you don't see. So that's why we put the title there. And we're just going to ignore this meta chart set that Dreamweaver adds in here. It's automatically added, and even though your web page can function without it, we're just going to best leave it in there because of browser reasons. All right, and there's one more thing I want to talk about today, because even though I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, I want to throw one more thing, which is the HR tag. All right, and the HR tag is what's known as a horizontal rule. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a horizontal rule in between my two headers here. And it's done simply with just an HR tag. Now, you'll notice that Dreamweaver did not prompt me with a closing tag like it usually does. Like when I do H1, it gave me a closing H1. When I did H2, closing H2. When I did paragraph, a closing paragraph. HR is a special tag. It does not need a closing or an end tag. We simply just type HR where we want that horizontal rule line to appear. And you can see it's right here in my web page. So let's go ahead and take a look at how that looks in the web browser, just because it's been a little bit since we've done that. And you can see it prompts me, asks me to save the changes. So I'm just going to click on yes. My page right here. You can see up here at the title is at HTML exercise 1. That's the title that we have in our web page. And when you do your exercises, you'll be changing that title to represent whatever the name of that web page is. So if this was like exercise, this one is going to be exercise 3A. So in that title page, it'll say exercise 3A. And when you create your documents, you may have noticed that it is automatically populating that because it says, what's the name of your document? Okay, well, it's exercise 3A. It automatically puts that in there for you. You have your H1 right here. You have your horizontal rule. You have your second heading right here. And then you have your paragraph text. And that about concludes this lesson, folks.